Here's the Gibson SG Junior. Stripped down, lightweight, and unapologetically loud. No neck pickup, no nonsense. You get a single dog ear P90 in the bridge, our wraparound tailpiece, one volume, and one tone. That's it, which means that everything that you hear comes from your hands, your amp, and this one killer pickup. The Gibson SG Junior is one of my favorite guitars that Gibson has ever made. So let's talk about it. In 1961, Gibson changes the shape of the Les Paul into what we now know as the SG, but kept the name Les Paul even though the guitar had completely changed. And then by 1963, Les Paul name is removed from the guitar and it becomes known as the SG, or solid guitar. Though Les Paul himself may not have liked the design and later disassociated himself from it, the SG was still very clearly a guitar that the market wanted. It was clear that the people of the guitar wanted it and the people took to it. And you can see that in that the SG has been around since its inception. Where the Explorer failed, where the Flying V failed, where the Les Paul failed, the SG made its way into the catalog and didn't relent. And so when Gibson introduces the SG, originally known as the Les Paul, it brings into existence one of the greatest rock and roll machines ever made. And not just by Gibson, but for all guitars and all of music. And with that lineup of all of these SGs came the Junior, which was ultimately just a student model. It was meant to be accessible. It was meant to have less features, which meant less money, which meant more accessibility by more people, because maybe you're a kid getting into the guitar for the first time and your parents don't want to buy you something expensive. Maybe you're joining your first band and you can't afford a standard, and so you get into the Junior. And so they strip down the model and they make it simplified. One pickup, one knob for volume, one knob for tone, the wraparound tailpiece, no tune-o-matic, right? No block inlays, no binding, straightforward, just get right to the point. And whether they knew it or not, Gibson was making one of the greatest rock and roll guitars of all time. There's an endless list of documented and undocumented players
that have played the SG over time. And here's just a few of the legends who picked up the SG Junior and never looked back.
Leslie West with the Polaris White SG Junior, an absolute icon. Tom Petty, Mike Campbell.
I used this for the solo on Running Down a Dream.
This is the...
On the record.
On the record?
Yeah.
Wow.
Angus Young has been seen in promos and on Howard Stern with an SG Junior. Billy Joe Armstrong. Brian Ray of Etta James and Paul McCartney. Jake E. Lee, Youngblood, has an Epiphone Signature SG Junior. And a few honorable mentions that I couldn't find photos for. Mike McCready, Jim Ward, Nancy Wilson, and so many more.
It's a guitar that transcends genre. The single dogger P90 gives you punch, gives you bark, gives you clarity. It gives you whatever it is that you want. You can roll back the volume for clean shimmer, or you can crank it up for all the bite that you need. This is one of those guitars where you can really experience just how powerful a single pickup is. Because it's not just a single pickup, it's a single P90. And the amount of expression found in the single P90 feels limitless, feels like you're not just playing a single P90, and the way that it makes you play your guitar is different because there's not more to play with, there's less to play with, and you find yourself working more volume and working more tone and having to change your attack and really focus on what your dynamic is to get more out of it until you become more expressive because you become more focused on your guitar. One pickup also means fewer components, less resistance, and a hotter, more immediate signal. When you play this guitar, you feel the response. It's almost immediate. There's very, very, very little time between when you play and when it responds. And I know that you think your guitar already does that, but until you plug this thing in and play it, you don't have to trust me. But when you play it, you'll know what I mean. The response is different. It bites. It's immediate. It's right there. It's blazing hot. It can, again, please play this before you get frustrated with that in the comments. So what you play is what you get, and it forces you to be a better player, and it rewards you for it. The SG Junior has always been the underdog, but that's purely a judgment call based on having not played the guitar. Maybe when you see this simplified aesthetic, you can make that kind of justification and rationale that less is less and less is not more, but when you play it and you dig into it and you feel what this monster does, and you'll understand. Now that it's back, I just had to give it the love that it deserves and recognize the power of what this guitar is, and those who have played it will understand what I'm talking about. And again, point to the players and the artists that have taken this so far, because it really is so much guitar. If you dig this guitar, you can find this at Gibson.com. This is a Gibson exclusive SG Junior and Walnut. They also have it available in Cherry, the vintage Cherry, which you can find at your favorite Gibson dealer. I'll have links for both of those below, so make sure to check those out if you're in the market for an SG Junior, or if you're in the market for a badass guitar and you like what I've said here. This is seriously one of the coolest they've ever done, so make sure to check it out. Comment your favorite SG Junior player below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'm working on a deep dive on the SG right now. It's coming soon. You don't want to miss it, so make sure to subscribe so you don't. Thanks so much for watching. Go play some guitar now. As always, until next time, stay tuned.